Beautiful. Here we are, down at Golf Central.
Yeah, with Darryn Lowe from Taylormade Asia Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific, yeah.
Pacific, fantastic. And we're going to have a quick little chat about the new M3 M4 range, in the drivers especially, in the technology.
Yep.
And we'll also touch on the Fairways and hybrids as well.
Absolutely.
Just because it is new.
It is new, and it's very different, and we've got a pretty different story to tell, which is exciting.
Yep. And you can see it very, very easily on that thing.
Yeah, so we've got, obviously it helps.
You dead set you can't see it by the ball, like really.
No, you can't. I mean, look, if we didn't tell people that the face was twisted,
that's right.
People would think maybe it's got a little bit more loft on it, but that you're not really going to tell.
Correct.
But look, there is a change, and it's called twist face. Obviously, it debuted on tour the week just gone, and Dustin Johnson and John Rahm finished 1 and 2, so it's the perfect start.
Yeah,
for the product.
Yeah, well, that's what you want. With the product, yes.
It is, but yeah, look, this is an overlarge, exaggerated version of twist face, and as you can see, effectively the toe of the driver is sort of peeled back with a lot more loft, and the heel of the driver is peeled back with.
So I've got a nice close-up of that, so to be able to see that, is that an exact measure of the twist face, but on a?
Yeah, no, it's exaggerated. It's exaggerated to help us tell the story because, look, it's not overly daunting on the product. It doesn't stand out a huge amount, of course, but it's significant in the way of performance. So, yeah, we capture so much data at Taylormade. We used around 500,000 human golf swings to recreate the curvature of the driver. So, traditionally the process. So
when you look at 500,000 of those, so is that from a range of golfers?
100%.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's not just from obviously Dustin Johnson and people like that?
No, so the data actually comes from tour players, but mainly from our performance labs around the world.
Yep.
Where we are fitting the regular golfer that you see every day on a golf course.
Yep.
The lens in which we look at the data has changed and has gotten a lot greater. Yep. So obviously we're capturing everything in 3D. So we used to look at face data, and the things we would pull from that is how do we influence launch, spin and speed. And that's pretty much what everyone does out there today. What's happened at Taylormade, we've got so much data now that we're tracking golf club into impact. What is the face doing versus the path at impact, and what is the resulting impact on the face? So why are we getting high toe? Where does that come from? We track the ball off the face and plot it all the way until it lands. And the trends that we really started to see was the majority of high toe shots, the club face comes in slightly closed to its path, which is the cause of that high toe shot. And the low heel shot, the club is generally presented a little bit open. So when you start to see a trend like this, usually you're presented with a pretty significant opportunity. Yeah. It then took us a couple of years of testing and R&D to work out, are we really onto something? And if we are, how much, and what does the proper curvature really need to be? So if we go back to a traditional face, we face map that product to work out the curvature. And what that is, it's a club and a robot, it's anchored square. We hit them center, high, low, heel, toe, and all around the place. Yeah. And the design intent of bulge and roll was that when you miss it offline, off the center, that it counteracted the gear effect and brought the ball back to center line. Yeah. And when we put, say, last year's M1 or last year's M2 in a robot and tested it with square face, every shot came back to center line.
Because it's a robot square, it's square to that.
Exactly right. Yep. We then take 500,000 human swings, put it back into the robot with constant bulge and roll, and guess what?
I reckon if you put his swing in there and his strikes, it would totally ruin the computer.
I hit everything off the middle.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
The trend that we started to see was pretty much every toe shot was sort of a little knuckly ball that went left the target. Yep. And any heel shot was this sort of high spinning slice. So if we look at the high toe shot, first off you see it's a little bit knuckly. Yep. So what you need is a little bit more loft. And on average that ball is landing left of target for a right-handed golfer.
Of course. Yep.
So you need that face to be slightly more open. Yep. And on the low heel shot, we know that it's quite a spinny sort of ball flight. Yep. So we take a little bit of loft off, and that it tends to want to slice or cut. So we've slightly shut that face. Yep. So what we've done is recreated.
So sorry, at the moment, like telling when we are talking about right-handed golfers,
we are talking right-handed,
and I imagine just flip it over.
Well, Darren's a lefty, so
just flips over. I mean, I've got a different language, but but ultimately. Bulge and roll has been around since 1888.
Yep.
And it's been relatively unchanged. The one constant thing in pretty much every driver has been bulge and roll.
And so from manufacturers, they're all similar?
1888.
Oh, when you got your first driver.
So it's been around for a long time, and the reality is, the reason why it's never changed is because no one's ever had enough data and enough research to say we need to commercialise this because there's a significant performance benefit there.
Yeah, sure.
So you'll see twist face in both the new drivers, so both the M3 and the M4. And this is really about getting the golfer to hit the ball a hell of a lot straighter than what we've ever done before. And you'll obviously pick up distance on the off-centre shot because launch and spin and direction are a lot more consistent.
It's a bit more optimised for those misses too, isn't it?
Yeah. So your data collection, you can gather that from anywhere around the world.
So
from
every
all your fitting centres, you get.
So for example, every fit that we did today is already in a cloud hub that Global Source and R&D use, and we data share all around the world from every performance lab. And we just installed a new system, but it'll do effectively the same thing, but at a higher level for us.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So how many labs? I mean, how many labs are there worldwide?
So we've probably got just over 30. We've installed 25 new systems with the new gear system. We've got 2 here in Australia, so Brisbane, obviously here at Golf Central, and 1 down in Melbourne at Melbourne Golf Academy. But yeah, it's 3D tracking at its best, and we get really accurate data through there.
So you get a lot of people through, and you can test all that. But it is interesting. What else is new on these things?
So the other significant change for us, obviously, twist face is all about straight and going straighter and going further.
And the hard part is, like, I've been trying to test it. I've hit it a few times, and I actually don't mind it. You haven't hit it yet?
No, I haven't hit it.
As it's going?
We'll have a hit later.
Exactly right. So check those videos out when they come. But it seems there could be something going. It's definitely something going on, and you almost can't explain it. Like that explains it. But when you hit it and feel it, and then it doesn't quite turn out how you might think, it's something's going on.
So what we found is people who have hit it in the middle, it's relatively the same because the middle, the centre shot should perform the same. It's that one shot that you know you've missed and you look up and you see something different. That's when it becomes very real.
Yes, that's what we talked about with all clubs. It's the miss, because you're going to miss a couple.
It's all
we
good to
certainly
hit
are at our level.
Definitely.
Like, even I saw the Dustin Johnson talked about it, and he was saying if I make one more fairway for 18 holes, and I looked at it and went, at his level, that is, but at my level, I'm looking at, maybe 1 or 2 that I don't put in the water.
It's just not as bad as what bad could be.
That's what's going to help.
We're not saying that every drive is going to go straight, but we are saying every drive will be closer to the centre line than it's ever been before. And those guys, your Rory McIlroys, they hit 1 or 2 perfect drives around.
And they are the best.
So the reality is, I myself probably haven't hit a perfect drive for 10 or 15 years. And there's a lot of golfers out there that probably have never hit.
I am all the time.
You don't miss it.
But there's probably a lot of golfers who have never hit a perfect drive, but we're just trying to get the bad ones as good as possible.
Of course.
So the second probably key thing, which again is in both drivers, is the new slot technology. So it's called Hammerhead. Now, the reason why this is so different, obviously when you look at it, it sort of looks like a speed pocket like we've had before on the M2 driver. Hammerhead is in both models, which has never been before. But effectively what we've done is we've actually reinforced the centre part of the slot. So you can see these 2 sort of notches here, or bars,
and the bars there you can see.
So effectively what we've done is, I guess, along these sort of lines here, we've reinforced the face, which has allowed us to go 20% thinner and 17% lighter. So we've taken 7 grams out of the face, meaning that the COR, so the maximum COR, so the sweet spot in M4 is 69% larger than M2.
All these numbers sound really crazy.
And in M3, it's 37% larger than what it was in the M1 and M1 last year. So larger sweet spot, giving us more ball speed. We've seen in robot testing around 1 mile an hour on the 460 versions, and then there's a 440 in the M3 where we've seen around 2 miles an hour. Generally at retail and on the golf course, that translates to 3, 4, even more. So we know we're going to hit it straighter. We know we're going to hit it further. And then with the M3, we've got the new Y-Track.
Which is interesting.
Just giving us complete personalisation. You've got 2 completely unrestricted weights. These can float anywhere they want to go in those tracks. So before we had one that was restricted to the front track and one that had the back track. So this gives us a lot more options. You can tune a high draw, or a low draw, or a high fade, or a low fade. You can go maximum stability or maximum ball speed. There's about 1,000 settings if you really went into it. M4 doesn't have the adjustability, but it's got this sort of cutout sole, which we call geoacoustic. What this allows us to do is actually make that driver a little bit deeper. Same foot flip on top, deeper face.
So the face is deeper.
Face is a little bit deeper,
Yeah.
and it gives us a really pleasing sound and feel.
Yeah, that's one thing that when you hit it, guys, that you will notice that it's a totally different sound and feel. Like, it's quite loud, but it's not quite like, say, the 2017 M2, which I thought was really loud.
Yeah.
And it felt kind of how it sounded.
Yep.
Whereas this is two totally opposite things.
Yeah. So, and look, M4 is designed to sound a little bit faster, I guess.
Yes.
And loud to an extent talks to fast.
Can be fast, yeah.
But then you go too loud and it's
then
not
it's
pleasing.
off-putting,
So
isn't it?
you'll still get a sound and feel that you expect a Taylormade driver to sound and feel like. We know we're going straighter. We know we got more ball speed. And then you got different graphics as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So that's one of the questions I'd like to ask you
Yep.
about, the colour. So, so the original M1 had a thicker white line here.
Yep.
Look, I didn't really like that.
Yep.
I hate white-headed drivers.
Yep.
I can't hit them for some reason. I don't know why. I really liked last year's model because that line was thinner, right, and it was white. But now you've gone from the white to a silver.
Is it the same silver that was on the SLDRS?
No,
Just a little bit
slightly different. It is slightly different. So, look, there's a couple of reasons why. When Taylormade bring out a new product with such a revolutionary technology,
And another name, I suppose.
look, it deserves its own identity, but we also were very wary of what we created with the white and black crown and the visibility on tool, which is very important for validation.
Yeah.
So we needed to keep that sort of contrast. It works for alignment and visuals. It definitely works. So we've gone to a matte silver as opposed to a gloss white.
Yes.
So we've taken away a lot of that reflection in the front, and we just really like. So we tested 8 to 10 different colours.
Yep.
It wasn't just this going to be silver, but silver was the one that rated the highest.
Did the green ones exist, or did the blue ones
exist? We
exist?
did greens and reds and blues and all sorts of colours. We even faded colours through the carbon.
Wow.
But ultimately, this is what we came up with, and you'll notice that the carbon itself is a high gloss but darker.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it the same 6-layer, 5-layer?
So it's 5 layers, so it's a little bit thinner and lighter. You'll also notice this little aerodynamic feature on the toe. So we've obviously spoken about 3 key technologies. There's a bunch more going on in here, like the aerodynamic feature in the toe. If we can attach airflow for longer on the toe, it's faster through the air,
Of course.
which is great.
Yeah,
And if you
in
even
the
look at
close-ups
the-
you can see it.
If you even look at the screw underneath, so this little screw here for the flight control for the shaft. The diameter of this, the outer diameter is thinner, right? What this has allowed us to do is make the hammerhead slot longer, but also the shaft comes into a driver, the face sits in front, which is onset. We've been able to take about 1.3 millimeters of onset out of the driver.
Right.
So all these little refinements to make it look better.
Make it look
But ultimately, we've gone to a matte on gloss, which we think is a better contrast. It's more pleasing to the eye.
Yes, I'm very interested to see what it looks like.
Yeah, when you've got a ball there.
Shaft and everything else. I like the silver colour. I've recently had a driver that had a big silver lineup, and the silver and black seems to work really well.
It does go well together.
I
The
thought
mat's so good though, I love them.
Yeah, I find the
Matte with
silver
anything.
and black goes better than the silver and white.
Yeah, and
the white seems...
we also find that the matte is just that little bit more durable as well.
Yeah,
gloss can scratch up a little bit. So from an easy care perspective, we're really, really happy with the silver.
Absolutely, and the M4 comes in a D-type as well?
It does. So the weight at the back there is actually nearly doubled from last year. It was 21 grams, it's now 42.
Wow.
And that 42 gram weight you'll see swings right around into the heel.
It then heads, basically that there.
Yeah, in all of our robot testing, which you need to test it on, it gives us 20 yards of left bias.
Yeah.
For the golfer, it's going to vary, but there's a lot of left bias in there, which is really, really exciting.
Fantastic, and you're saying quite high MOI, both of them?
Both very, very high. M4, because it's slightly deeper head, a little bit higher. But look, MOI gives us maximum ball speed protection, which is great. And it is slightly higher than what we saw last year because that weight low back has increased significantly.
Absolutely.
But the counter to low back CG is your launch goes up and your spin goes up.
Yeah.
So we actually make the face on M4 rougher.
Okay.
And a rougher face takes
drop
off
a little
launch
bit
and
of spin.
spin. So we've got the same launch characteristics as M2, which was
so
really,
they
really
are
good.
two different faces.
They are. This is a smoother face.
Oh wow,
and you
it
feel
is
that's
too.
slightly rougher.
Well, there you go. Yep.
So we go to that sort of detail in saying,
wow,
we wanted low back.
Okay, I'm
Sorry,
impressed by Taylormade now. Like that I didn't expect because you said that's a deeper face.
It is a
in the
deeper
M4.
face.
It's a totally different face.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And look, we tried a number of different faces. We had a CG location
Wow.
that we really liked, and ball speed protection and MOI, which we really liked. So we had to reduce spin and launch some other way, and you do that through face roughness.
Yep.
So actually a rougher face in a driver takes off spin, and fixes up the launch, and we're really happy with the numbers that we've ended up with.
Well, there you go.
Do you know the other thing I really like? The name.
The name.
Because last year, I think you probably should have called it M3 and M4 because it confused people a little bit because they had to go back to the year model.
Yep.
So, and that quite a few people sort of did comment that if you could bring it out in your driver, it probably should have changed.
Yeah.
But I think that's good.
Yeah.
At least you can easily
Well,
determine what's what.
You know it's new, and, and that's what I like going M3 and M4. The change of colour, adding of other technologies. It's setting itself apart from M1 and 2.
Yeah, the good thing is now you can see a guy on the range and you go, oh, he's got a Taylormade driver. Oh, that's the new one.
That's the new one.
You can tell it's the new one on TV. You can tell, and
I think that was confusing for people. So when they were trying to look at buying and bits and pieces, if there was old stock in the shop, they'd be going, "Oh, is that the new one? Or is that the old one?"
Yeah. And look, that's probably one of the biggest challenges for our engineers, right? R&D, technology, great. Engineers, you need to make the old look old.
Yeah.
So when this goes on the shelf, it's easy to walk in and go, hey, that's the new one, and it looks racy and it's cool. And I think aesthetically, that's probably the nicest looking driver that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And shelf appeal is going to be amazing. But you are right, the look and naming has definitely changed.
The colours are great. It's that simple. The colours are great, and when you hit it, the sound is great too. The feel's pretty solid as well. So that's something. My favourite thing, I mean, of course, the head covers are the head covers, but I like that. The TaylorMade T on there.
The T-Bug's back.
The T-Bug's back. That's cool for me. It's a bit part of the old school, but do you want to kind of touch on the fairways and hybrids as well and kind of what's changed?
Obviously M3, M4 are complete families, driver, fairways, rescues and also irons. We'll talk about irons at a different stage. There's some pretty cool stuff there as well, but look, the fairways and rescues have been refined. If we look at M4, specifically, speed pockets just that little bit longer, a little bit more active. The biggest change on the sole of the fairway wood is that we've completely split the mass. So traditionally it's fairly centered. We've got what we call split mass pads, so we've split the mass in the sole, which has given us, again, higher MOI, more ball speed protection, giving us better launch conditions and better feel. Same in the rescue, so again, stability, confidence, a little bit more draw bias in the M4.
Yep.
In the M3 model, we've got around 40% more carbon. We've got 3 or 4 grams movable weight more, and we've got a little bit more overhang over the track. So it's better through turf interaction. And then the biggest change in this family would be in the rescue, where it now carries the crown graphics.
Yes.
You've got the silver on black, which is actually really, really hard to do on a steel head, where you're using 2 different paints. We don't have carbon.
I was going to say, it's not carbon, but it does have that same sort of as the driver.
So to paint the first part in a matte silver and then go to a gloss black is actually really, really hard to do, and it took them a long time to get it right. But it carries the graphics, and from a feedback from visuals, it looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to carry that look across the whole range.
The fairway sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
it is.
Because the amount of people that look, I've struggled with the fairway wood. When I hit it well, but that splitting of the weight, maybe that's...
So obviously, once we're done here, you guys can go and give them a hit. I'll leave you alone to do all your testing, but definitely try the fairways and rescues and enjoy them. They're super stable and really easy to use.
Yep. No, it was quite surprising for me, and as you'll see in the reviews we do, the noise of all of them is a step on last year's and even the years before, which is nice. And visually, like you said, the shelf appeal is going to be fantastic. So
it's going to be good.
Look, I think that, like I said, even the irons. I mean, even last year's. I thought last year's M2, M1, and M2 irons were improvement on the year before. Right, I thought they looked a lot better. They got rid of the industrial look, and they got that little bit more silver back in them, and I thought they were really good. It'd be interesting to see how these ones go.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, not only from a look and feel, but we've got another revolutionary breakthrough in the irons, which has brought a whole new game of performance to what is traditionally that distance iron. But yeah, we'll talk about that shortly.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Too easy, guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Thanks to Darren for
no worries at all
for coming along and having a chat.
Enjoy hitting them.
Fantastic, mate.
Go out, mate.
Enjoy.
I'm sure they'll be all right.
They are. And guys,
plow a couple past in.
when you can, go out and test them yourself. I think this 22nd of Jan is about the launch.
Yeah, so you'll start to see them turn up at demo days after the 22nd. You can start pre-ordering at retail February 1, and they'll be on the floors at retail February 16.
There you go. Guys, go check them out when you can. M3s, M4s, and the whole range, fairways, hybrids, and the drivers and the irons.
Yep.
Cool.
Have a look at our videos.
Exactly right. Stay tuned.
Get them out there and, yeah.
Too easy.
Awesome.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, mate.